Tonight, fallout from a highly unusual debate.
Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco.
But after the break, and tonight, new reporting revealing the chaos off screen that led to the surprise twist.
Do we know why Governor Newsom's wife was so upset with the debate that she wanted it to end?
Whoa, things just got a little hectic. Hey folks, welcome back to One and Done. It's your boy George, and the debate that not a lot of people had a lot of interest in all of a sudden has become extremely interesting, and it's made me come back and revisit this debate. Now, apparently Gavin Newsom's wife was crying over spilt milk. There was a mess on aisle 7 and she had to go in and mop it up. I haven't seen the video yet. I want to see the reasons behind why Gavin Newsom had to pull the pin. Now, I reacted to the portion of the debate where they were discussing crime. Now, out of that debate, I thought Ron DeSantis absolutely cleaned up on Gavin Newsom. So yeah, the intrigue has gone up, and I want to jump into this next portion of the debate to find out why they have pulled the pin. So without delay, let's jump in, roll the tape.
Let me start by introducing both Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, California Governor Gavin Newsom. Governors, thank you both for being here. Really appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Sean.
I know both of you personally. I've known you both for a long time. I know you're very busy. I also know this. I know that both of you love your individual states.
Yeah.
I know you both have a deep and abiding love for our country, as I do. But where we are in the country, we've never kind of been this divided in a long time. There are clear and deep and profound differences in your approach to governance. Right. And before we begin, one quick note to all of you that are watching at home.
And look, I would argue straight off the bat that Gavin Newsom, his state of California, doesn't look like he loves his state at all. And I would not want him to unleash that on the rest of the nation, if that is love. Forget about it.
Okay, I'm now the longest running primetime cable host in the history of cable news. I'm now, and I feel blessed, in my 28th year at Fox. It's kind of widely known that I am a conservative. However, tonight I will be moderating this debate. I will not be part of the debate. Americans, they are leaving blue states in droves in favor of red states. You can see numbers on the screen right now from the years 2021 and 2022. These particular numbers are stark in the state that you lead. In the case of you, Governor Newsom, according to the U.S. Census, this is where the numbers come from. In 2021, 2022, California's lost 750,000 residents to other states. Governor DeSantis, during that same 2-year period, you gained 454,000 residents from other states. How do you explain this phenomenon? Governor, what's going on?
When I was in the Navy, I got orders to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in Southern California. And I was a lifelong Floridian, but I went there and I was like, man, this is one of the most beautiful places on earth.
And I got to completely agree. I visited my cousins in San Diego, and Coronado Island is just gorgeous. It's beautiful. I spent the day there. Amazing.
And California has more natural advantages than any state in the country. You almost have to try to mess California up. And yeah, that's what Gavin Newsom has done since he's been governor. He's the first governor to ever lose population. They actually, at one point, ran out of U-Hauls in the state of California because so many people were leaving. Of course, he's imposed restrictions on his own people while exempting himself from those restrictions and going to the French Laundry while his people were suffering.
Look at Gavin Newsom. He's laughing. It's funny, but it's true.
He led the country in school closures, locking kids out of school while he had his own kids in private school in person. Now, he's very good at spinning these tales. He's good at being slick and slippery. He'll tell a blizzard of lies to be able to try to mask the failures. But the reality is they have failed because of his leftist ideology. And the choice for America is this. What Biden and Harris and Newsom want to do is take the California model and do that nationally. In Florida, we showed that conservative principles work. This country must choose freedom over failure.
Ron DeSantis there, he's sort of he wants to get everything out so quickly, he's almost running out of breath as he's talking. And like I said in the previous video, I would much rather him be looking at Newsom as he's delivering these facts.
Governor Newsom, your reaction?
Well, it's good to be with you, Sean. It's nice also to see you in a tie as well tonight. Good to be with you, Ron. And
I dressed up for the occasion, Governor.
No, I'm impressed and I'm grateful. Look, it's an important occasion. This is an important conversation. And I think it's important to the folks watching. They're probably wondering, what are we actually doing here? And I want to answer that very directly. I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm here to tell the truth about the Biden-Harris record and also compare and contrast Ron DeSantis' record and the Republican Party's record as a point of contrast that's as different as daylight and darkness. You want to bring us back to a pre-1960s world, America in reverse. You want to roll back hard-earned national rights on voting rights, on civil rights, on LGBTQ rights, on women's rights, not just access to abortion, but also access to contraception. You want to weaponize grievance. You are focusing on false separateness. You in particular, Ron, are on a banning binge, a cultural purge, intimidating and humiliating people you disagree with. You and President Trump are really trying to light democracy on fire. So, Sean, there are profound differences tonight, and I look forward to engage them. But there's one thing in closing that we have in common is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
Governor,
there he goes again, that slick politician. He's definitely slick. You have to give him credit for that.
great opening statement, but
Didn't
it
answer
did not
the question.
It didn't address the issue. Can you explain this migration?
Wow, he got called out. And good on Sean Hannity for calling him out, and Ron also putting in a word or two there.
Out of California and going to red state, blue state.
Well, hold on. You mean the last 2 years, more Floridians going to California than Californians going to Florida?
No, I put up on. I put
Let's
up on
just,
the
by the
screen.
way, that's going to be fun to fact check. So we'll just start right there. California has no peers. California dominates. Size of 21 state populations combined. It's the fifth largest economy in the world. We dominate. Number one manufacturing state. We dominate in two-way trade and research and development, access to innovation, more scientists, more researchers, more engineers, more Nobel laureates in the state of California than any other state in the nation, the finest system of higher education. It's the birthplace of life science and biotech and nanotechnology. We dominate in green tech. We dominate in high tech. We dominate in artificial intelligence.
Let's check. I want to do a quick fact check and see where California rates in the states in the US for doing business. Now, I think Newsom is talking about California's past, its history. Yes, a great state for doing business, etc. So if we look at America's top states for doing business, let's look where California lands. It lands 25th. It lands right in the middle. So if this is a business state, it must be quite difficult to do business there. And then another fact is that it ranks 49th for cost of living. 49th. So it's middle of the table for doing business, and it ranks 49th for cost of living. Well done, Gavin.
So with respect, I think it's an interesting campaign strategy for Ron DeSantis to be bashing a state of 40 million Americans when California simply has no peers.
Well, that's a pretty slick way of not answering your question. He went on a binge of putting out a lot of left-wing platitudes. Here's what I would say. I talked to a lot of the people that have moved from California to Florida, and we never used to get people from California to Florida or really anywhere in these, because why would you leave California? It's got the best weather, great natural forces. Excuse me, sir. But one of the things that I did, I was talking to a gentleman, a couple.
Guys, I'm going to let the debate breathe, but it's his turn. Let's take turns.
Someone's getting triggered here.
I was talking to a fella who had made the move from California to Florida, and he was telling me that Florida is much better governed, safer, better budget, lower taxes, all this stuff. And he was really happy with the quality of life. And then he paused and he said, by the way, I'm Gavin Newsom's father-in-law. So we do count Gavin's in-laws as some of the people that have fled California and come to the state of Florida. And why are we getting people to come?
Oh my goodness, that is a drop the mic moment. Gavin Newsom's in-laws don't even respect him. If they respected him, they wouldn't come out and say those things. And his father-in-law says he's leaving despite the great weather, the natural beauty, the natural resources. Florida is better governed, safer, has lower taxes. And then he drops the bombshell, by the way, I'm Gavin Newsom's father-in-law. No wonder his wife wanted to pull out of this debate. Gavin Newsom's absolutely made a mess on aisle 7, and she's there cleaning up the mess. She's like, nah, we can't do this anymore. This is embarrassing. Like, how bad would you feel if your in-laws came out and basically gave you a slap like that? Absolutely gave him a slap. Gavin Newsom's been body bagged by his father-in-law. There is no respect there. Ron DeSantis has just KO'd Newsom. He might as well quit. Drop the mic. Let's get out of here. Oh boy. Let's get back to it.
We have a 50-year low in the crime rate. You don't see in the last 10 years, we've had a 45% decline in homelessness. California's had a 45% increase in homelessness. We back the blue. I was walking the streets of San Francisco a couple months ago, and I had some of the cops in San Francisco do a beeline to come over to me, and I didn't know what they were going to say. And they're like, we want to thank you for standing for law enforcement because we don't get that support in the state of California. So people understand quality of life matters. They understand that Florida's doing it right. And I can tell you the numbers speak for themselves. We have way more people moving to this state than leaving. Gavin can't say the opposite. More people are leaving California than are moving into California.
Let me bring up
coming to California the other way around the last 2 years. But let's talk about crime.
Governor, hold on. Governor, wait a minute.
Oh, damn. Gavin Newsom, it's like he's on a treadmill. He is moving the feet real quick, but he's going absolutely nowhere. And this is part of the reason that I believe that people on the left, they want to shut down speech and debate because, let's be honest, Gavin Newsom has embarrassed himself. He really has. He's absolutely embarrassed himself because he's probably got all these people surrounding him and around him telling him how wonderful, how great he is. And California is a great state. It's an amazing place. But under his watch, this place has deteriorated, something chronic. He's taken an absolute gem and turned it into literal turd. On his watch. This is the problem when people try and go up against actual facts with their emotional fallacies. Their BS arguments. Let's carry on.
I think
hold on a second.
He's said a lot of things that were factually untrue, including that 50-year crime low, which his own law enforcement team said you should not be using.
You have yet to address the issue, but I asked you twice. You don't want to answer it. But the issue of why the migration out of red states, out of blue states.
We just established more Floridians coming to California in the last 2 years than the
overall,
other.
You had a net loss of 7.
Establish it.
It's a
fact. Just asserted it.
It's a fact.
No, it's not a fact.
It is a fact.
Moving on. Let's go.
So once again, Gavin Newsom got absolutely KO'd and body bagged. All right. Now, there's one other video. I haven't found it yet. I'm going to try and find it right now that I want to respond to. And this is the one that shows the turd map, I guess. Everyone seems to be going off on this, so I want to see what this is all about. Okay, great news. We've found it. Without delay, let's jump in.
These are the numbers for the homeless population in each of your states. It is a big problem around the country. In the state of California, it is 172,000. In Florida, it is 26,000. Now, the per capita numbers are pretty much the same. For California, it is 44 per 10,000 people, while Florida has 12 per 10,000 people. So, Governor DeSantis, I ask you, why the disparity? What are the policies you are implementing that is different from that of California?
California's adopting leftist policies. Gavin Newsom was governor or mayor of San Francisco. He put out a 10-year plan like 20 years ago. He was going to end homelessness. Then a few years later, he had another plan. And now he says he's going to do, and it's only gotten worse. In the last 10 years in California, the homeless has gone up 45%. It's gone down in Florida 45%. But it's caused a huge problem with quality of life in California. The people that flee always bring up this. They've really empowered lawlessness and drug use. And, you know, Gavin Newsom at one point tried to say that California was the freedom state. And I just kind of laughed, like, you're locking people down, you're doing all this. But then I thought about it. You know, California does have freedoms that some people don't, that other states don't. You have the freedom to defecate in public in California. You have the freedom to pitch a tent on Sunset Boulevard. You have the freedom to create a homeless encampment under a freeway and even light it on fire. You have the freedom to have an open-air drug market and use drugs. You have the freedom, if you're an illegal alien, to get all these taxpayer benefits. So those are freedoms. They're not the freedoms our founding fathers envisioned, but they have contributed to the destruction of the quality of life in California, and the results speak for themselves. People are leaving the state because they have failed in addressing the homeless population.
Well, I love the rant on freedom. I mean, here's a guy who's criminalizing teachers, criminalizing doctors, criminalizing librarians, and criminalizing women that seek their reproductive care. You're making it harder to vote. You're banning books. I mean, spare me this notion of freedom. Ask the folks at Disney about freedom and free enterprise. Ask the folks at the Special Olympics that you threatened to fine with $27 million.
Because they were discriminating against the athletes.
Who goes
you wanted
after
those
Special
athletes
Olympians
to be
when
out
it
of there.
comes to
Kids
the
with
issue,
Down syndrome.
Ron, of homelessness?
That is wrong. That's
when it
being a
comes to this-
liberal bully.
You know,
That's being a bully.
Really?
They had Down syndrome, and you wanted to discriminate against them.
$27 million
They were discriminating
fine to
against
Special
because they were
Olympians.
discriminating
I find that
against the
disgraceful.
athletes.
On the
I would have just let Gavin Newsom bury his own grave, I think, because he's full of BS. Gavin Newsom is just full of BS. There's no facts. It's all emotion. It's all emotion. He's trying to straw man this argument. I wouldn't even bother.
They wanted
issue
to
of
marginalize
homelessness-
the athletes, and you wanted the athletes marginalized. That was wrong what you did. These are kids with Down
By the
syndrome
way,
that just wanted to compete.
I grew up
and
working
you wanted
aid to
them,
adoption
you wanted
of
them
special
out of the
kids. I've
Special
been
Olympics.
working with
You're
Special
a liberal
Olympians all
bully.
my life.
You
How
wanted them
dare
to be. You
How
wanted them
dare
to be
you, Ron?
ostracized.
You threatened
you
to
should
fine
talk
the
to
Special
Isabella
Olympians
from
with
Florida. She got to
$27 million
participate because
in
we
fines.
stood up for
this
her
is the way
rights.
you treat. Oh, yeah. By the way, no, hold on.
It's your
no,
turn.
let me say.
Go.
I can handle that. I can handle it. I'm used to that. But you know what?
You wanted her
your
not to
attacks
compete.
on the trans community,
You
your
wanted
attack
her
on the
not
gay
to
and lesbian
compete.
community.
That's wrong.
You attack
She should have been
vulnerable
able to
communities.
compete. And
you
we stood
attack
up for
women.
them, and we made sure they
Again,
could compete.
Ron, relax. I can handle it. I'm used to bullying. You're nothing but a bully.
You're a bully.
I understand that. Intimidating and humiliating people, that's your calling
Why
card.
did you want the
And by
Special
the way,
Olympians not
how
to be
well
able
is
to
it going
compete?
for you?
Why
How
did you
well
want
is
them
this
not to be able to compete?
How well is this
Why do
campaign
you not
going?
want them to be
He's
able
not
to
going to let me
compete?
talk, so
I don't
I'll talk to the
understand
American
why you would want to
people.
discriminate
Again,
against
I'll
an
remind
athlete
you,
with Down
Gentlemen, let's
syndrome.
the blueprint.
He wanted them to be
blueprint
excluded
for
from the
Florida.
Special Olympics.
Let me.
Look, I'll be honest, I don't know what on earth they're talking about, but my trust levels for Gavin Newsom was probably 25%. It's getting very close to zero. So he has no credibility, and I'm going to struggle to believe much of what he says, just because most of his arguments have been just simply factually untrue.
Put Ron
gentlemen, if I
DeSantis
can.
41 points down
Let's go
to
back.
Donald Trump as you try to get tough.
We said
and
that.
out-Trump Trump.
Let's go back to
on
the
issue
homelessness.
of homelessness.
The
It's been an issue for decades,
question.
decades in the making in the state of California, ever since we started shuttering down our mental health institutions back in the day, in Ronald Reagan's day. The difference is I'm the first
Mate, reopen them then if that's the problem. Why are you blaming Reagan? That was like 1980s. Before cell phones, before the internet. Like, is this guy for real? Come on. Bruh.
governor in California history to take this head on. We are investing unprecedented resources, more accountability. We've gotten 68,000 people off the streets, close to 6,000 encampments we've gotten off the streets. We've also invested in unprecedented resources in reforming our behavioral health system.
He's been spending taxpayer money hand over fist, and yet the taxpayer is less safe. Tent cities everywhere. Venice Beach. I used to love Venice Beach. It's basically a tent city. The bike track there is like a freeway to all the tents. This guy is making California rot. And unfortunately, the Californians that can see it, they're actually moving out of California, which is unfortunate because then it's leaving all these leftist lunatics there. And I don't know, I can't really see them waking up. I mean, look at the movie industry, which, you know, California's famous for. A lot of the movies have been moved out of California because it's Wokesville. They can only make movies that can't sell. When was the last time you saw a good movie? The movies these days are absolute garbage. I can't remember the last good comedy I've seen, let alone a great, you know, drama or thriller. They're all super woke. You've got these, you know, 20-kilo women jumping all over the place, beating up these 6'4" men. Come on, folks. Wake up, get a grip. Let's start operating in reality. Let's carry on.
Ron has literally the worst mental health system in America, forgive me, outside of Mississippi and Texas. And so with all due respect to being lectured on some of these topics, Ron DeSantis is not the one I'm going to be listening
30-second response. You're, well, I'm looking at total time. Governor DeSantis,
look,
about 2 minutes.
He needs it.
This is a map of San Francisco. There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking, what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco. And you see how almost the whole thing is covered, because that is what has happened in one of the previous greatest cities this country's ever had. Human feces is now a fact of life, except when a communist dictator comes to town. Then they cleaned up the streets. They lined the streets with Chinese flags. They didn't put American flags there. They cleaned everything up. So they're willing to do it for a communist dictator, but they're not willing to do it for their own people.
I want to get in with the limited time we have left. I want to get, there are two very important issues we have not hit.
So, folks, that was just an absolute carve-up. I'm starting to see why Gavin Newsom's wife grabbed him by the collar, because this is beyond embarrassing. Okay, this is shockingly terrible. And you know what? And I'm going to say it again. This is why no one trusts the liberal media. Okay, the complete conspiracy network CNN, MSDNC. How the hell can they come to the conclusion that there was no winners and losers in this debate? There is a clear winner, and we haven't even seen all the debate yet. This guy got body bagged. He got body bagged by DeSantis. He got body bagged by his father-in-law. Body bagged so badly, his wife has to step in to clean up the mess. Once again, this is why people on the left cannot come anywhere near some centrists or people on the right, because their arguments do not stand up under pressure. Okay, they have no real solutions to problems. The only solution they have or can offer is to shut you up, is to not give you a voice. They don't want free speech, because free speech will tear their arguments and their policies to shreds. I mean, this is just hilarious. It's hilarious, but it's sad because everything's true. It's all true. Of course, these are my opinions. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone or anything. These are just my observations. I've said this before, I'll say it again. One of the reasons that I'm so interested in politics in America is because of this very situation. This is the most unique country on the planet. It has 50 states, and each state can implement its own policies. And people, this is one of the great things, they have citizenship to every state. They can move to a state that better aligns with their values. Okay? There's no other country on earth that has this. That's why it's so important that it's protected, stays protected. Because you can see the lunacy in California and what damage their policies are doing to that wonderful, great state. And then you can see what happens when someone comes in, a proper leader comes in and leads. Look, I've got to give Ron DeSantis more credit than I probably have in the past, because he's come in and he's led. His first term as governor, he just scraped in, but he got elected in his second term by a record margin because people bought into his vision for the state. And as a result, people have come from all over the country, and in particular California, ironically, have moved into Florida because lower taxes, lower crime rates. And when you're raising a family, that's really important. The other thing is this BS about banning books and not wanting LGBTQ and being anti-gay and all this. That is just absolute BS. Now, I'm fiscally conservative and I guess socially more liberal. So I don't care what you do in your bedroom. You can go knock yourself out. But you don't need to throw it in our faces every single day. Right? Do what you need to do. Go about your business. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go about my business. I ain't going to put it in your face. But when it comes to messing with the kids, that's not good. That's not on. Let's get on to this next part of the video. And this part is going to should inform us on why Gavin Newsom's wife pulled the pin. Now, I think the proof is already in the pudding. We've seen there's many reasons why she could have pulled him out at many stages throughout this debate. So let's jump into it.
As the debate came to an end, both governors and Hannity deciding they wanted to keep going past the agreed-upon 90 minutes.
Let's just do an extended hour. I'm happy to do it.
I guess the debate on the fly will continue on the other side.
But after the break,
All right, welcome back to Hannity, a red state, blue state debate. By mutual agreement, both candidates had other commitments, and they realized afterwards they couldn't stay longer.
and tonight new reporting revealing the chaos off screen that led to the surprise twist. 4 sources with the DeSantis campaign and one unaffiliated source on the ground telling NBC News Governor Newsom's wife walked onto the set to stop the debate from going longer.
Dasha, I want to get back to that new reporting you had from behind the scenes. Do we know why Governor Newsom's wife was so upset with the debate that she wanted it to end?
So we don't know exactly why she decided to put a stop to the debate going longer, but we do know from our sources in the room, both from the DeSantis campaign and also from Newsom's aides, that there was a lot of drama behind the scenes, a lot of accusations flying around rule breaking. The Newsom team was accusing the DeSantis campaign of breaking the rules by DeSantis talking to his wife Casey and his staff throughout the debate. They also claimed that Fox News had a teleprompter that was angled toward DeSantis so that he could see the questions that Sean Hannity was about to ask. Now, Fox News denies both of those accusations, but it just gives you the flavor of the tension that was happening off screen that viewers couldn't see, Tom.
A lot of juicy allegations there. All right. Dasha, I know the reaction to this debate has been broken down partisan lines, but is it perceived that there was a winner or a loser last night?
Well, look, like a lot of these things, it is a bit of a Rorschach test, right? If you think if you like Newsom, you think he won. If you like DeSantis, you think he won. But I will say that it gave Newsom a chance to present.
Listen up. His wife pulled the pin. They were supposed to go for another hour. That tells you who won. He got slapped. DeSantis is a grown man, and Newsom was like a child. Okay? DeSantis was just throwing him all over the place. This debate was a one-sided affair. Now, if you can't see that for yourself, you're delusional. All right? Now, I thought this, from the news reports I had heard, I thought, wow, this must have been pretty close. And I thought, well, Ron DeSantis, if you can't body bag this dude, because look at Newsom's record, if you can't, well, then you are unfit to be president. And I've got to say, I'm actually really impressed with what Ron DeSantis did to Newsom. Now, I did say that Vivek would have absolutely destroyed him, and I think he would have, but I've got to give Ron DeSantis full credit here because I think Ron DeSantis actually destroyed him. Obviously, as the debate went on, he got more and more confident, and Gavin Newsom ended up with his tail between his legs, and his wife yanked him by the collar. There was 2 winners here. Number 1, Ron DeSantis, and number 2, the public. Because we got to see Gavin Newsom for what he is. He's a facade. He's a master of BS and spin. He's like a 1980s used car salesman, and I don't mean offense to any used car salesman. All right? He's got the slick hair. He uses his tongue to slime and slip his way out of everything. But if we're being honest here, and if you want to be honest with yourself, this guy is not fit to be anywhere near the White House. He needs to be put out to pasture. Okay, he's probably more dangerous than Biden. Honestly, you can see for yourselves. Let's carry on.
Present himself as the future of the left, the future of the Democratic Party, while also putting to bed those rumors that he's running a sort of shadow campaign. Throughout the debate, he continued to emphasize the record of Joe Biden, that he is going to be the nominee, that he's going to do a great job and beat former President Trump. And for DeSantis, he got 90 minutes without his other rivals looming over his shoulder. So both got an advantage there.
And then, Dasha, finally, in Republican circles, I've heard that some people are saying that they thought Governor DeSantis was more comfortable, he was more aggressive. He did a better job debating Governor Newsom than he's done in the primary debates, which are the ones that really matter.
And this is another argument I've heard, and if you use common sense, you will understand that the elephant in the room of the GOP debates is the elephant that never shows up, and that's Donald Trump. Now, you've got to navigate that elephant in the room or out of the room. Now here, he doesn't have to navigate that It's simple. Gavin Newsom is on the opposite side of him. Their policies are like night and day. The results are night and day. It's super easy for him because he's got facts, which are his foundation for his arguments. And once again, he has a track record. He's implemented policies and the results have shown improvements, vast improvements. So much improvements, in fact, that he won the hearts and minds of the Floridian voters, and they came out in their droves to support him by voting for him. You know, these networks, they always try and make things so, so complex. It's really not that complex. One's successful, the other one isn't.
Well, look, this is something that the DeSantis campaign has been looking forward to. He told me in his own spin room of his own creation last night that this is an opportunity for him where he has felt like former President Trump has gotten the vast majority of media attention. So this was 90 minutes where he was not fighting with Republicans. Instead, he was taking on someone from the left. We're taking on the, quote, radical left is something that he has been talking about over and over on the campaign trail. It's something he has made a staple of his message, and he got to do that and use Newsom as sort of a proxy for Biden and show voters what it would potentially look like if someone other than Trump were the nominee and were to take on a Democrat, Tom.
Okay, let's wrap this up quite quickly. Now, I believe Donald Trump is going to be the GOP candidate for the presidency. My opinion of Ron DeSantis has actually just gone up. I just think that he has selected the wrong time to throw his hat in the ring. I'm still a huge fan of Vivek. I would probably rather see Vivek as vice president than Ron DeSantis. And I think Ron DeSantis, his campaign is probably 4 years early. 2028 should probably be his year. I think Gavin Newsom just needs to literally pull the pin. I can see now why he's not running for president. Because he knows he's got nothing in the bag. And I think after this debate slapfest, he has nowhere to run. Now, this should absolutely destroy Gavin Newsom's career. Now, having said that, crazier things have happened. Just look at Joe Biden's career. He's president. How the hell did that happen? Honestly, the guy can't even put a couple of sentences together. Now, this guy can put many sentences together. It's just that none of them mean anything. There's no substance behind it. Now, I guess I've got to ask who won, who got done. Do I really need to ask? Californians got done. That's who got done. Now, if you're smart, you would not let this guy anywhere near the White House, even to visit. Once again, I'm impressed with Ron DeSantis. I am going to leave it at that. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell, and I will catch you in the next video.